The footage begins with a shaky camera, headlights cutting through a fog-drenched highway outside Ely, Nevada. The date stamp reads October 3rd, 2019, 2:47 a.m. You can hear the tires humming on the wet asphalt, then my voice. This is Mark Jensen, field log entry 19. We're approaching the old Desert View Motel. It was supposed to be another dead lead, a forgotten building swallowed by desert and rumor. Locals called it cursed, but I'd heard that before. The story went that no guest ever stayed till morning, not once. Those who tried either vanished or drove away before dawn, babbling about voices in the air vents and figures standing behind the curtains. When I arrived, the fog was unnatural, with thick, low, crawling along the ground as if it had weight. The sign flickered, Desert View. Vacancy, the last two letters burned out. My camera caught the neon buzz, the hum glitching in rhythm with the static in my recorder. I still can't explain that part. The front door hung open, no wind, no sound. Just that door, swinging slowly, like someone had gone in moments before me. Inside, everything smelled of rust and old rain. Wallpaper curled from the walls. There was a register book on the counter, dates stretching back to 1979, names ending abruptly in 2004. The last entry, Room 6, G. Morrow. No checkout. I remember running my fingers over the page. It felt damp, almost warm. Outside, my partner, Emily Torres, called out, "Mark, you hearing this?" She pointed her recorder toward the empty parking lot. On playback later, there was something, faint whispers layered beneath her voice, almost like a radio signal bleeding through. But there were no radio towers for miles. We checked the rooms one by one. Room 3 smelled of gasoline. Room 5 had a television still plugged in, screen flickering with static though the power lines were long dead. And Room 6, that door was locked from the inside. I knocked. The handle turned slightly as if something inside responded to touch. But the door never opened. By the time we set up the cameras, it was 3:12 a.m. The fog outside had thickened, swallowing the road entirely. My truck's headlights looked like two dim orbs in milk. There was no sound now, not even crickets, just the faint hum in the air, the same frequency I'd later matched to an old emergency broadcast tone. I spoke into the camera. If you're watching this, subscribe. We'll keep uncovering what others won't. Because something's here, and it doesn't want to be forgotten. Then, on the far end of the parking lot, one of the lights above Room 6 flickered, once, twice, and a shadow moved across the window. Emily whispered, "Someone's in there." We ran toward the door. The knob was cold now, the shadow was gone. But when I lifted the camera again, the red light blinked out on its own, as if something had touched it, and from the room beyond that locked door, a single knock answered back. The Desert View Motel had been shut down for 15 years, yet it looked less abandoned than asleep, like a creature pretending to be dead. The night we arrived, I thought the building was waiting for us. Every light flicker, every echo through those cracked hallways felt timed, deliberate. After the first knock on Room 6, Emily and I decided to sweep the other rooms again, one by one, with both cameras running and the external microphones recording ambient audio. We were trained to document everything, timestamp, weather, temperature, sound levels, but no measurement could explain the atmosphere pressing on our lungs. The air wasn't cold, it was heavy, like the motel itself was exhaling through the vents. In Room 2, we found a suitcase, brown leather, warped by moisture. Inside were men's clothes from the early 2000s folded neatly. But at the bottom, beneath the shirts, was a tape recorder, the kind with small microcassettes. The tape inside was labeled Desert View Log 6, 10:03:04. Emily crouched next to it. "October 3rd, she said. "Same date, we're here." I laughed nervously. Coincidences are just math until you're standing in the middle of one. We carried the recorder outside to the truck and played it using our field adapter. The first few seconds were white noise, distant wind, faint static, then a man's voice. "Test, Desert View Motel, Room 6. I can hear them again, not outside. Through the pipes this time. The air vents are breathing." The man coughed, then whispered something we couldn't understand. I increased the gain, and underneath his words there was another layer, with soft, rhythmical tapping, like knuckles brushing metal. Then a phrase, barely audible, "Don't let them know you can hear." Emily turned pale. "That's not background noise," she said. "No," I agreed. "It's response." We played more. The man described seeing shadows between the curtains and lights turning on when no power was connected. At the 30-minute mark, he said, "It's almost sunrise. They said no one makes it past 4. If anyone finds this, I left the key under the counter." The recording ended with a long sigh. Not human. It sounded like air being drawn out of a throat larger than lungs could hold. We rushed back inside, searching under the counter. Sure enough, there was a key taped to the underside of the wooden ledge, wrapped in plastic labeled Room 6. The padlock on the door opened easily. Too easily. The metal didn't resist. Inside, the room looked untouched. One bed, one chair, a lamp unplugged from the wall. The curtains were drawn tight. Then, the smell. It wasn't decay or mold, it was ozone, sharp and electric, like the air after lightning. My camera's EMF meter spiked into red. The temperature dropped 3 degrees in seconds, and the recording equipment began to distort, like magnets twisting inside their cases. On the nightstand lay another microcassette, unlabeled. I played it, nothing but breathing. Deep, rhythmic, like someone sleeping directly beside the microphone. Then, at timestamp 000143, a voice whispered, "You shouldn't be here." It wasn't the same voice as before. This one was female. I turned off the recorder. Emily stared at me, whispering, "That sounded close, like it's not from the tape." That's when we noticed it, the reflection in the small TV screen. A shape standing between us, faint but solid. Not light, not shadow, just absence. When I turned, nothing was there, but the bed cover had a fresh indentation, as if someone had just stood up. We left room 6 without speaking, closed the door, and stepped outside. The fog was thicker now. Visibility under 10 feet. Every sound seemed amplified. The hum from the neon sign had deepened into a low, pulsing tone, like distant thunder stuck on repeat. Emily replayed the first tape again on her headphones, isolating a few frequencies. "Mark," she said, "listen to this." At minute 27, the man's voice paused, and beneath it, so faint you'd miss it without filtering, another voice whispered something. Slowed down, it was my name. Not Mark Jensen, just Mark. I hadn't been born when that tape was made. At 4:02 a.m., all the motel lights turned off at once. Our cameras switched to night vision. The fog seemed to absorb infrared. No clear depth, just shifting density. I stepped forward toward the parking lot, following a new sound, dripping, water maybe, but the desert was bone dry. The droplets were coming from the roof's edge. Thick black streaks sliding down the concrete. I touched it. It wasn't water. It smelled metallic, like old oil and pennies. Something flickered near room 6 again. A dim figure at the curtain, watching. I lifted the camera, zoomed in, and the autofocus jittered violently. Through the static, I caught a single clear frame. A man's face, pale and hollow-eyed, pressing against the glass. Mouth open, like he was mouthing something. Then nothing. The curtain snapped shut from the inside. Emily started praying under her breath. The wind rose sharply, cutting through the stillness with a hiss like radio static. Then, the neon sign burst, glass shattering outward, raining sparks across the asphalt. The hum was gone, absolute silence. Even the truck's dashboard clock froze. We retreated to the truck, slammed the doors, and locked them. The fog outside coiled around the windows, pressing inward like fingers. I turned on the engine, but it stalled, twice. Finally, on the 3rd try, it roared to life, headlights stabbing the mist. We drove down the road, half blind, not speaking. 5 miles out, the fog cleared entirely. The desert was empty and silent, the stars sharp again. I glanced back in the rearview mirror. The motel's neon sign glowed faintly in the distance, though it had exploded minutes before. When we reached town at sunrise, Emily played back the video file. The timestamp showed 04:12:37 a.m., right when the lights went out. But the footage didn't show fog. It didn't show the motel either. Only a single frame, room 6 door, slightly open, light pouring from inside. And in that light, silhouettes, dozens of them, standing motionless, facing the camera. I paused the footage, counted them. There were 11 figures, all perfectly still, and right in front, one figure taller than the rest, its head slightly tilted like it recognized me. That's when Emily noticed something else. In the bottom corner of the frame, partially cropped, a reflection, my face holding the camera, but in the video my eyes were open wider, and I was smiling. The footage ends there. We left Ely the next morning, though morning didn't feel like the right word. The sun rose, but the light was strange. Washed out, colorless, like a reflection through dirty glass. Emily hadn't slept. She kept replaying the video, frame by frame, searching for any rational error. A reflection, a trick of fog, a glitch in the codec, but no matter how many times we slowed it down, the figures stayed. 11 shapes, all human height, all facing the camera, and one taller than the rest. We reached Tonopah, Nevada around noon. The plan was to upload our footage to the central drive and back up everything on a portable SSD. That's standard protocol. But when I connected the drive, every video file from that night had been duplicated, each one paired with a second file of the same name, exactly the same size. When I opened the duplicates, there was no sound, no image, just a black screen and, faintly, a heartbeat. Emily said it was some kind of data corruption, maybe power interference from the motel. I wanted to believe that. But then, at 0006 in one of the duplicate files, there was a whisper, almost inaudible. You came back. We hadn't. Not yet. At 2 p.m., I received a voicemail from an unknown number. The message was 3 seconds long. White noise, a pause, then a woman humming. The same tune we'd heard under the tape's static in room 6. That was when I decided to contact the county records office. The Desert View Motel had been condemned in 2005 after a reported structural failure. No fatalities were listed, but one of the inspection photos, archived in low resolution, showed something the report didn't mention: 11 dark figures standing in the lot. I called the number listed for the former property manager, Gerald Morrow, the name from the last entry in the guest book. To my surprise, someone answered. "Yeah." The voice rasped. "Who's asking?" "Mark Jensen. I'm investigating the Desert View Motel." Silence. Then, "You shouldn't have gone there." The call clicked off. When I tried calling back, the number was disconnected. That night, Emily insisted we rest at a small roadside inn. She took the footage to her laptop and isolated the reflection of my face from the video frame. Zoomed in, the resolution broke apart into static blocks. But within the distortion, another face seemed to appear behind mine, blurred and elongated, its mouth slightly open as if whispering into my ear. We both stared at the screen, the air in the room turning heavy again. "What time was this frame taken?" I asked. 04:12 a.m., she said. Exactly. The same moment every clock froze. I shut the laptop. "Tomorrow we go back." Emily looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "You saw what's there, Mark." "Yes," I said. "And that's exactly why we have to finish it." We returned to the motel the next night, October 4th. I told myself it was for documentation, but deep down, I needed to know if those figures were still there. The fog was waiting for us, thicker than before, swallowing the desert in layers. The road to the motel was different, like it had shifted, slightly misaligned with the map. The sign was dark this time, no neon glow, just a skeletal frame buzzing faintly in the wind. The front door was closed. The key to room 6 was still in my pocket. As we entered, the smell of ozone hit instantly. The same hum echoed through the halls, low and steady, pulsing through the floorboards like a heartbeat beneath our feet. Dust floated in the flashlight beams, yet none of it settled. It hung there, unmoving. Emily whispered, "Mark, do you hear that?" I nodded. From somewhere inside the walls came a rhythmic tapping. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks again. Morse code maybe, but too slow to read. We followed the sound toward the back corridor, passing room 3, where the gasoline smell had returned. Stronger now. I reached for the door, but it was warm. Not from heat, from vibration, like a slow pulse through the metal. Something alive inside the structure. At room 6, the key slid in easily. The lock clicked, and the door opened to darkness. I stepped in first. The air was thick, almost liquid, the smell metallic. My flashlight flickered, casting a single flash across the wall, revealing writing, faint and scrawled in dust, "Don't stay after 4. Then, as if the room recognized us, the lamp on the nightstand buzzed and turned on by itself. Its light was dim but steady. The bed was made. The chair sat in the corner, facing the TV, and in front of the chair, the guest book lay open again. But this time, there were new entries. Names dated October 3rd, 2019. Our names. Emily's hand trembled as she traced the ink. It was real, fresh. Same pen strokes as the 2004 entries. She looked at me whispering, "We didn't write this." I picked up the guest book. The pages felt warm again. Suddenly the TV turned on, static filling the room, and the speaker emitted that same deep hum. Through the noise, a voice spoke, "Ours. If you're watching this, subscribe. We'll keep uncovering what others won't." It was my voice from the night before, but now warped, stretched deeper. And after the last word, another voice layered over mine. "You already did." The temperature dropped. Frost crept across the inside of the windows. Emily's camera died instantly. I checked mine. It was still running, but the lens showed nothing but static and flashes of faces. Not the 11 from before. New ones. Closer. Blurred. Watching. Something moved behind the curtain. A shadow shifting from left to right. When I turned the flashlight toward it, the curtain bulged outward, like something breathing behind the fabric. I pulled it open. No one. Just the fog outside, dense and bright like white smoke pressing against the glass. Then, handprints. On the outside of the window, 11 of them, slowly appearing, palms flat against the glass. Emily screamed and stumbled backward. The light bulb above us exploded, plunging the room into darkness. We ran down the hallway, past the reception desk, out into the night, but the fog wasn't letting us go. Every direction looked the same. No horizon, no road, just gray silence. The motel lights flickered behind us like eyes. "Keep the camera rolling," I shouted. Emily tripped, the recorder hitting the ground with a crack. The screen shattered, but it still displayed an image. The parking lot from above. 11 figures standing in formation, unmoving, and then a 12th, appearing slowly, taller than the rest. That's when the ground under us began to vibrate. A deep, resonant rumble like an engine turning underground. The fog parted for just a second, revealing the road ahead. We sprinted for the truck, jumped inside, and peeled out, gravel spraying behind us. In the rearview mirror, the motel was smaller now, swallowed by the fog again. But for a split second before it vanished completely, I saw them, those figures, standing in the lot, all facing the direction we drove. We didn't speak for the entire drive back. When we finally reached town, I noticed something that made my stomach twist. The gas gauge needle was still at full. The odometer hadn't changed. The truck's GPS showed we hadn't moved at all. And when we reviewed the footage back at the inn, the timestamp hadn't advanced either. The recording stopped exactly at 04 hours AM. Everything after that, our escape, the drive, the road, was gone. Like it never happened. Back in Tonopah, the footage kept replaying in my head. The frame that ended everything. 04 AM. After that, nothing. We'd left the motel. We'd driven. We'd felt the ground, smelled the fog, screamed at each other to keep moving. But according to every device we owned, cameras, GPS, dash, clock, it never happened. The night ended the moment the clock reached 4. That was when I realized what the message on the wall meant. Don't stay after 4. Not because something would happen, because after 4, you stop existing. I sent copies of our files to our editor in Reno. 2 hours later, he called. "Mark, what exactly are you sending me?" I frowned. "The motel footage." "Why?" "Because when I open it, there's nothing but a black screen. But I can hear you talking, only your voice isn't right." "What do you mean, not right?" He paused. "You're whispering my name." I hung up. Emily was sitting across from me, pale and shaking. She'd been analyzing audio from the night before, splitting the frequencies of the second microcassette. When she played it back, layered at full speed, the whispers turned into coherent words. It wasn't random noise. It was a countdown. 3:57, 3:58, 3 to 59. Then the final second looped endlessly. 4 o'clock, as if time itself had caught on repeat. We spent that evening at the diner across from our motel. The waitress, an older woman named June, overheard part of our conversation. When I mentioned Desert View, she froze. "That place," she said quietly, "used to get travelers off the highway. Cheap rooms, clean sheets. But after that winter in 04, nobody went back. Said the fog rolled in and never left." "What happened in 04? Emily asked. June glanced toward the window, lowering her voice. "There was a storm that year. A bus broke down out there. 11 passengers. The owner, Mr. Morrow, took them in overnight. Next morning, every room was empty. He told the sheriff they checked out early, but no cars ever left the lot. By the time they searched the place, Morrow was gone too. I felt my skin tighten. You ever see him again?" "Once," she said. "Year later, stopped by this diner, ordered coffee, left a tape recorder on the counter. Told me it was evidence." She shook her head. "I threw it away. It kept turning on by itself." Back at our room, Emily pulled up county missing persons archives. 11 names, all matching passengers from that bus route, Route 50, eastbound. Their faces stared back from grainy mugshots and license scans. But in the third photo, my heart froze. The man in the second row, face pale, eyes hollow, the same face that had appeared in the motel window. We checked the date of disappearance, October 3rd, 2004, 15 years to the day before we arrived. At 2:30 a.m., I woke to a sound, soft, steady tapping on the motel window. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks again, the same rhythm from Desert View. I looked outside, nothing but darkness. Emily was asleep, her recorder still running on the table. The red light blinked slowly, like a pulse. I pressed play, static, then my voice. Mark Jensen, field log, entry 20, we're still at Desert View. Can't tell what time it is anymore. But I hadn't recorded that. I hadn't spoken those words. I woke Emily. She listened, eyes wide. That's your voice, she whispered, but it's different. We checked the timestamp. 8:04 is 01 a.m. The recorder had been running on its own. The next day, the fog reached town. It wasn't mist, not humidity. This was the same thick metallic haze from the desert, moving between buildings, crawling down alleys. People began reporting flickering lights, phones turning on by themselves, whispers through ventilation systems. The local radio station cut to dead air at exactly 4 in the morning. We packed up our gear, planning to head north. As I loaded the truck, I noticed something scratched into the dust on the rear windshield. You came back. Emily saw it too. It followed us. She said, no. I said, we never left. On the road, we lost all cell reception. The sky darkened before sunset, clouds folding over the horizon like a storm front made of smoke. Emily tried the radio. Every station broadcast the same faint hum. The same frequency as before. I started recording an audio log, my voice trembling. October 5th, visibility under a mile. The fog isn't moving naturally, it's rolling against the wind. We think the motel isn't a place, it's a boundary, Emily added quietly. A boundary between what and what? I didn't answer. We drove for hours, yet the road never changed. Same cracked asphalt, same fences, same dead trees. At 3:45 a.m., the GPS reset on its own, coordinates flashing 0. The engine began to rattle. The fog thickened. I could feel the pressure inside my ears like diving underwater. Mark, Emily whispered. The clock. It read 3:59 a.m. We pulled over, engine idling. The world outside the windshield looked frozen. Every sound, engine, wind, breathing, muted into a single low tone. Emily held my hand. We waited. Then the dashboard clock ticked forward. 04:00 a.m. The headlights flickered out. The fog pulsed once, twice, and from the darkness ahead, 11 silhouettes appeared, standing across the road, perfectly still. The 12th was taller, arms slightly apart as if waiting. I reached for the camera, but it wouldn't turn on. The battery icon flashed red, then black. Emily whispered, "Don't move." The figures began to step forward, synchronized, their feet not touching the ground. As they moved closer, I realized each face was a mirror. Our faces, versions of us, slightly different, slightly wrong, older, tired, hollow-eyed. One of them, the taller one, had my face exactly. It leaned forward and whispered through the fog, "You stayed after 4. Then the world inverted. Light turned inside out. Everything dissolved into that same humming tone vibrating through my skull. When I opened my eyes, it was daylight. The truck was parked at the edge of a highway I didn't recognize. The fog was gone. The air was clear and dry. Emily sat in the passenger seat, staring ahead blankly. She didn't respond when I spoke. The dash clock read 3:12 a.m. again. We were back before it happened. That night, as I reviewed the recorder, I noticed a new entry had appeared, auto-labeled by our software. Desert View Log 7, 10:05-19. When I played it, there was only one sentence, repeated again and again beneath layers of static. "Don't stay after 4. And under that, barely audible, another whisper. "You never left." I used to believe every mystery could be broken down into data. If you could measure it, record it, isolate the variables, you could explain it. That was before Desert View rewound time. After that morning, or whatever that repetition was, Emily stopped speaking much. She'd sit for hours with her camera off, watching the footage over and over. I told her to stop. She didn't. She said she'd found something new. At 03:59:57, just before the footage cuts out, there's a single frame that flashes for less than half a second. You wouldn't notice it unless you step through the file one frame at a time. In that frame, the camera isn't pointed at the motel, it's pointed at us, from a distance, as if someone else was filming. The image shows me and Emily standing outside room 6, both holding cameras, both frozen mid-breath. But behind us, faint in the fog, there's another pair, 2 more of us, identical, watching. Emily's voice trembled. "We didn't record this, someone else did." That day, I drove to the sheriff's department in Ely, hoping to find old records from the 2004 incident. The deputy on duty, a man in his 60s with tired eyes, stared at me when I mentioned Desert View. "You shouldn't be digging there," he said. "I just need the police logs." He sighed, then disappeared into a back room. When he returned, he set a thin folder on the counter. Only one entry, October 4th, 2004. The report described audible disturbances near the motel. Officers were dispatched at 4:07 a.m., but when they arrived, the building was empty. Their cruiser clocks showed 3:12 a.m. when they left town and 3:12 a.m. when they returned. The log ends with one handwritten line, scrawled at the bottom margin. "They came back again." I asked the deputy who wrote it. He shook his head. "That handwriting isn't ours." Back at the motel, Emily had printed stills from the video. The 11 figures, the reflections, the second pair of us. She'd pinned them to the wall like evidence, connecting them with red string, old school investigator style. "It's not a haunting," she said. "It's an overlap." "Of what?" I asked. "Of the same moment," she said, eyes unfocused. "Different versions of it stacked together. Every time someone investigates, the loop tightens, like tape recording over itself." I stared at the wall of images. Each figure blurred the closer you looked. Each face looked like it was trying to remember something. At midnight, we played the last tape again, the one that had whispered our names. This time, something was different. The voice said, "You can leave when someone else takes your place." I turned to Emily. She was already staring at me. "I think it's trying to trade," she said. We tried to leave Nevada the next morning. The fog had cleared. Blue sky, clean air, nothing out of the ordinary. The truck worked fine. For once, everything seemed normal. We drove west toward Reno, 300 miles of open desert. No fog, no static, no figures. But halfway there, the road sign changed. Desert View, 2 miles. I slammed the brakes so hard, Emily hit the dashboard. We looked around. No turnoff, no intersections, no towns, just desert. Yet when I checked the odometer, we'd been driving for 3 hours straight. The road ahead bent, revealing a familiar shape in the distance. A long, low building, neon letters flickering weakly through the daylight. Desert View Motel. Emily started to cry. I just kept driving until the tires hit the gravel of the same parking lot. We set up one last camera. I spoke directly into it. "If you're watching this, subscribe. We'll keep uncovering what others won't. This isn't a place, it's a cycle, and it's using us to start it again." I could feel something vibrating through the ground, like an underground generator. The windows of room 6 reflected only sky. No sign of us, no figures, just sunlight. Then the static began again, faint and rhythmic, rising from the vents. Emily whispered, "It's daytime. Why can we hear it?" I pressed record on the audio deck. The hum stabilized into a tone. Low, mechanical, almost like speech slowed down beyond recognition. I adjusted the playback speed. At 600%, it became words, my own voice. "We never left." At 3:55 p.m., the daylight began to fade. Unnaturally, as though clouds were folding down over the sun. The motel cast no shadow. The sign buzzed faintly, though no power line reached it. Emily took my hand. "This is where the next loop starts," she said. "No," I told her. "We break it." We smashed every camera, destroyed the tapes, ripped the circuits out of the recorders. I even smashed the GPS unit and tore out the truck's dash wires. If the loop fed on documentation, maybe we could starve it. At 3:59, the wind stopped. The air thickened like glass. And then, faintly, we heard it again. The same knock from room 6. 3 taps. Pause. 3 more. Emily turned toward the motel. "Mark, look!" The curtains in room 6 were open. Inside, 2 silhouettes stood in front of the bed. A man and a woman. One held a camera, the other a recorder. Their posture was identical to ours. The woman raised her hand slowly to the window. Emily's hand rose too, like a mirror reflecting itself. "Don't," I whispered, but it was too late. The reflection's palm met the glass from the other side. The air cracked, light inverted, everything folded. When I woke up, I was sitting behind the reception desk of the Desert View Motel. The register book lay open. My pen rested beside it. The page was blank except for one new entry in my handwriting. Room 6, M. Jensen, E. Torres. Checked in. I looked up at the wall clock, 3:12 a.m. Outside, headlights glowed through the fog. A car was pulling in. Two figures stepped out, a man and a woman carrying cameras. They looked tired, curious, determined, and familiar. I whispered to no one, to the air itself, "Don't stay after 4." But the words echoed back through the vents, already spoken by someone else, already recorded, and the loop began again. When the tape was found, no one knew where it came from. It arrived in a small, unmarked box at the Nevada Public Safety Archive in 2021, labeled only with a handwritten tag, "Recovered Footage, Desert View Investigation." The archivist thought it was part of a college documentary project. He played it once. He didn't finish. That's where my involvement began. My name is Ryan Keller. I work in media forensics, recovering corrupted footage for local stations, courts, and occasionally families looking for closure. When I was hired to restore the Desert View tapes, I had never heard of Mark Jensen or Emily Torres. By the end of the week, I'd memorized their voices. The box contained 4 microcassettes, 2 SD cards, and a written log in pencil. Entry 19, Night 1, Arrival. Entry 20, Return Visit E04C0 AM Anomaly. Entry 21, Don't Stay After 4. Entry 22, The Loop. It read more like a confession than an archive. The first SD card wouldn't open. Data encrypted, file headers scrambled. The second worked. When I loaded it into the recovery software, a single file appeared. DV Recon 6.mov size. 4.6 GB. The thumbnail was black. Timestamp October 6, 2019. 3:12 a.m. At first it looked like every other field video. Static, dust, white noise. But 30 seconds in, a shape appeared. The motel, faint in the fog, headlights cutting across gravel. 2 voices whispered off screen. "Mark, is it recording?" Emily, "Yeah, but I don't remember turning it on." The camera panned across the parking lot. The neon sign flickered dimly. Desert View. Vacancy. The same letters half dead, just like in the earlier footage I'd analyzed. But then something changed. The flicker pattern wasn't random. It pulsed in rhythm. ... I translated it later. Morse code, RETURN. I enhanced the audio frequencies. Beneath the main track, under the ambient hum, there was a second channel. Hidden in subsonic bandwidth. I isolated it. When slowed down, it revealed a low mechanical voice, repeating the same sentence. If you're watching this, subscribe. We'll keep uncovering what others won't. It wasn't Mark this time. It was someone else. Someone mimicking his tone perfectly. That was the first moment I stopped treating the file as an anomaly. It was responding. 2 nights later, I ran a spectral analysis. At 3:59:43, a sharp spike appeared. A burst of data shaped exactly like a waveform signature used in radio identification tags. I recognized it, an EAS, Emergency Alert System signal, identical to those used in state-level broadcasts. But it didn't match any registered transmitter in Nevada. It wasn't a signal going out, it was one coming back. The message lasted 2 seconds. Translated into binary, it read, "Stay until 4. I began documenting everything. Day 1, distortion on the playback monitors. Day 2, hum through the office vents. Day 3, the lights flickered at 3:12 a.m., same as the tape timestamp. At first, I blamed stress, sleep deprivation, but on day 4, the phone rang. The number was unknown. I answered, expecting a telemarketer. "Mr. Keller," the voice was female, calm. "We've been waiting for you to finish restoring it." I froze. "Who is this?" The voice smiled through the receiver. "You'll hear it soon enough." Click, deadline. The next evening, I went back through the tapes. Something new had appeared in DV Recon 6.mo. The file size had increased by 200 megabytes, though I hadn't edited anything. When I skipped to the end, there were 15 new seconds of footage. Mark Jensen stood in front of the camera, covered in dust, eyes hollow. The date overlay read October 7th, 2019, but his lips didn't move in sync with his voice. If you're watching this, it means it found you. The motel doesn't take people, it records them. You're part of the next file. He looked behind him as if hearing something approach. The camera shook. A light flared behind him. The same cold blue tone as the motel sign. Then, nothing but static. After that, my computer began saving duplicate files automatically. Exact copies labeled sequentially. DV Recon 7 move, DV Recon 8 move, DV Recon 9 move. Each one played the same 15-second clip, but in every new file, Mark was closer to the camera. By the 12th, he filled the frame entirely, eyes staring directly into the lens. On the 13th file, he whispered, "Room 6 is open again." That night, I dreamt of fog. I was standing on cracked asphalt, staring at a flickering sign. The humming tone was constant, low and deep, shaking my bones. Behind me, doors creaked open one by one. When I turned, the motel stretched infinitely. Identical rooms, identical curtains, and behind each one, silhouettes moved. At 4:02 a.m., I woke to the same hum in my apartment. The clock on my phone was frozen. 3 to 12. The reflection in the window wasn't mine. Someone else was standing there, watching. I tried deleting the files. The system wouldn't let me. Error message. File in use. Even after I unplugged the drive, the hum grew louder, then the lights went out. I grabbed my flashlight, checked the hallway. The air felt static charged. Every step echoed like in a hollow tunnel. My recording equipment, the same field kit used by Jensen, sat on the desk, red light blinking. It had powered itself on. The display read, "New log detected, entry 23. I hit stop, nothing happened. The recorder played by itself, the same voice as before, layered over static. You can leave when someone else takes your place. I haven't slept since. Every night the same sound fills the apartment, a steady hum through the vents, punctuated by faint knocks from inside the walls. 3 pause, 3 again. Sometimes I hear footsteps in the hall, though I live on the top floor. Yesterday, I received a second box at the archive. No return address. Inside was a key, brass, tarnished, with a plastic tag marked Room 6. Attached note, continue documentation. The handwriting matched Jensen's logs. I keep telling myself it's just data corruption, old equipment replaying residual code. But tonight, as I write this, the fog has started to roll down my street. There's no wind, no moisture, just that same metallic taste in the air. It's 3:59 a.m. The lights are flickering, and from somewhere down the hallway, a neon buzz hums faintly. The sound of a sign warming up. Desert view. Vacancy. If anyone finds this recording, don't try to restore it. Don't analyze the sound. Don't open the next file, because the motel isn't waiting in the desert anymore. It's waiting in the signal, and once you hear it, you've already checked in. The stream begins with a trembling hand and the glow of a monitor in a dark room. Timestamp October 13th, 2021, 3:11 a.m. Audio log, Desert View live feed 01. Subject Ryan Keller. My voice shakes slightly in the recording. Test 1. If you're watching this isn't playback. This is happening right now. Behind me, the small apartment looks distorted through the camera lens. Walls slightly curved inward, shadows flickering without motion. The key to room 6 lies on the table beside the recorder, gleaming under the monitor's glow. Every time I look away, it seems to shift position. I decided to stream the phenomenon. Not for fame, not even for proof, but because I was tired of being the only one hearing it. If the motel was in the signal, then the signal could be transmitted. Someone else could hear it too, and maybe that would break the loop. I start the stream at 3:12 a.m., the time that always reappears. The chat fills instantly. Usernames I don't recognize, silent viewers joining without comments. A counter at the corner shows 11 watching. My stomach drops. The hum begins exactly 30 seconds later. Low, mechanical, steady. The same frequency as before. 57 hertz, though it feels lower, like the sound is vibrating inside the chest instead of the air. Every light in the room flickers. I speak into the camera. This is what we found on the Desert View tapes. It's not random noise. It's a signal. Every cycle starts with this. As I say it, the chat begins to move. Not words, symbols, dots and dashes. Morse again, return. The hum deepens, transforming into rhythm. Almost speech. When I lower the gain, it sounds like breathing. Then, behind me, my computer monitor changes. The live feed window minimizes on its own, revealing a new folder on the desktop. There's your Room 6 stream inside. One file, being created in real time. Feed.move. Recording. The timestamp isn't 2021. It reads 10:03 to 19:03 12 a.m. I whisper, "No, that's not possible." The chat window freezes, all usernames vanish, then one by one new messages appear, each name identical: M. Jensen, M. Jensen, M. Jensen. All typing the same phrase, "Don't stop recording." At 3:59 a.m., the static peaks. The microphone hisses. A shape begins to form behind me in the stream, faint, like a fog bank bleeding into the room. The viewers start typing again, but now there are 12 of them. Emily Torres has joined the chat. I turn around. For a moment, I swear I see her, pale, motionless, half lit by the monitor glow. Then the feed warps. Her face folds into digital noise, pixels dragging across the frame like melting wax. When I rewind later, that moment doesn't exist. The file skips from 3:58:27 straight to 4:01. A Warrior AM. The lights cut out. The only illumination comes from the monitor. A ghostly rectangle floating in the dark. The live feed continues, though I can't see the camera anymore. The hum has become a chorus now, layered voices repeating the same two words in mechanical harmony. Check in, check in, check in. Then the image on screen changes. No longer my apartment, a hallway washed in gray, dust on the floor, wallpaper peeling, and at the far end, a door marked 6. I realize the feed isn't showing me anymore. It's showing what's on the other side of the signal. I grab the recorder. The digital display now reads, entry 24, active. The same tone vibrates through the metal. I hear knocking again. 3, pause, 3. It's coming from the apartment door. I turn the camera toward it, still streaming. Who's there? I call, no answer. I take one step closer. The knocking starts again, but now from inside the door, like it's hollow and something's trapped between layers of wood. When I place my ear to it, I hear a whisper. Ryan, open it. It's Emily's voice. I pull back instantly. Then I see it, the shadow under the door. 2 sets of feet, bare, motionless. Emily, silence. Then a new whisper, deeper, distorted. We're recording. I back away, trying to end the stream. The cursor won't move. The mouse jerks around like it's controlled by someone else. The feed continues, typing messages by itself. You're already inside room 6. Finish the entry. I spin the camera toward the monitor. The live feed now shows me from behind, standing in front of my own computer, staring into the screen. But I'm not moving. The reflection me blinks once. Slowly, then raises its hand toward the lens. When I turn around, my camera is gone. Only the recorder remains, red light flashing. Rec, 1 a.m. I don't remember falling asleep, maybe I didn't. When I opened my eyes, sunlight filled the room. The monitor was black. The recorder sat still on the desk, display dark, but the key to room 6 was gone. The streaming platform logs show the broadcast lasted exactly 47 minutes and 12 seconds. It reached 11 live viewers. All usernames were later traced. Inactive accounts last used in 2019. 2 of them belonged to Mark Jensen and Emily Torres, and 1, newly registered during the stream, belonged to Ryan Keller, me. I replayed the saved copy of the broadcast later that day, using an isolated offline system. Halfway through, the chat appears again, but the names are blank, replaced by numbers 001, 002, 003, 011. The 12th name flickers, 012, unknown, and at timestamp 04, 023, a faint voice comes through the audio. It's mine, but not from the live stream. If you're watching this, subscribe. We'll keep uncovering what others won't. Then another voice overlaps, whispering underneath, "You're the 12th now." The final 30 seconds of the stream show a single static image. Room 6, door half open, light spilling out, and in the doorway, a figure holding a camera, red light blinking. When I brighten the frame, the reflection in the glass shows my face. Eyes wide, mouth half open. Behind me, 11 silhouettes stand in the fog. Since that night, the hum hasn't stopped. It's in my phone, my speakers, even the fluorescent lights at work. I can hear it between radio stations. Sometimes, faintly, it whispers through my own voice when I talk. I think the motel doesn't exist in one place anymore. It's everywhere that's been recorded, every microphone, every lens. It only needs someone watching to reopen the door, and the next door opens at 04:00 a.m. If you've heard the tone, you've already entered room 6. It's been 7 days since the live broadcast. I've stopped counting hours because clocks don't work anymore. Everyone I own flickers between 3:12 and 4:00, switching back and forth like the time itself can't decide where it belongs. I've tried leaving the city twice. The GPS always loops me back. Every road becomes the same cracked strip of asphalt lined with dead billboards and fog waiting just beyond the horizon. The same hum plays through the car speakers no matter how far I drive. The same sign waits in the distance. Desert view, vacancy. I don't think the motel was ever a building. It's a recording, a permanent file replaying itself through every device that captures sound or image. Every person who watches becomes part of it. Each viewer, each investigator adds another layer. That's why the number keeps growing. There were 11, then 12. Soon there will be more. Last night I opened the recovered folder again. I shouldn't have. A new file had appeared on its own. Guest list move, I didn't record it, no one did, but it had footage from every investigation. Jensen's, Torres's, mine. Same hallway, same fog, same clock frozen at 3:12 a.m. At the end of the clip, the camera turned, revealing a long corridor lined with doors. Each door had a number glowing faintly in the dark, 1 through 12, and at the end, an empty space, waiting for 13. I paused the video and scrubbed back frame by frame. In the reflection of the final door, I saw myself, holding the camera, standing behind my own reflection, and behind me, something taller, faceless, its head bent slightly to fit beneath the ceiling. Its shadow fell over me like static. Then the footage ended. I've been hearing voices through my speakers since then, hundreds of overlapping whispers, all asking the same question in slightly different tones. Did you see it? Did you record it? Did you watch it? I unplugged everything, but the whispers didn't stop. They moved to the air vents, to the pipes, to the walls. Sometimes I hear them through my phone when it's turned off. The apartment smells like ozone now. My breath fogs indoors. Every night the temperature drops at exactly 3:59 a.m. and at 4:00 I start seeing movement beyond the window glass. Faint silhouettes gathering in the street below, looking up at my window as if waiting for me to join them. There are 12. I decided to make one final recording, a full confession, so whoever finds this knows what happened. Maybe you can delete it, maybe you can stop it. The recorder blinks red as I speak. The hum beneath my voice sounds like breathing now. Not mine, but something syncing with my pulse. This is Ryan Keller, field entry. I don't know anymore. I've been documenting the desert view phenomenon. I've confirmed that the signal reproduces itself through any device capable of playback. Once you listen long enough, it begins to record you back. The motel doesn't exist in the desert anymore. It exists wherever sound is captured. It watches from inside the files. I pause. The air grows colder. The red light on the recorder flickers twice. The hum stops. Then I hear it again. The knock. 3. Pause. 3. From inside the closet this time. I stand up slowly. The closet door is half open, darkness leaking through like fog. I can see something inside, faint red light blinking. Another recorder identical to mine, already running. The display reads entry 25, live. I walk closer. The closer I get, the more the air thickens. My ears fill with that same heavy pressure, like I'm sinking underwater. From the recorder comes the faint sound of my own voice, but it's older, slower, and it's saying things I haven't said yet. He's standing now, looking at the closet. He doesn't know it's already open on the other side. The whisper continues as I stare into the dark. I can hear my heartbeat echoing inside the recorder, slightly out of sync. I step forward, and that's when I realize what's inside the closet isn't darkness. It's fog, gray, thick, and breathing. Through it, I can see the shape of a door. Chipped white paint, brass number 6 nailed to the center. I should run, I know that, but I can't move. The door handle turns on its own. A narrow slit of blue light cuts through the fog. I lift the camera, though I don't remember picking it up. The lens flickers alive, red light steady. The door opens. Inside, there's a room bathed in cold blue glow. Wallpaper peeled, bed untouched. The sound of an electric hum reverberating through the floorboards. And standing beside the bed are 11 silhouettes. They turn toward me at once. In their midst, a 12th figure stands apart. Taller, motionless. It reaches a hand toward me, palm open, waiting. I know what it wants. Someone new to check in. Someone to keep the recording alive. I take one step forward. 04 AM. The footage distorts violently. The camera swings down, showing only the floor, cracked tile, the edge of a bed, and 2 pairs of feet standing still. One belongs to Ryan Keller, the other to a figure unseen before, newly arrived. The final frame fades to static. A voice whispers beneath the hum, "Welcome to Desert View Guest 13." Recovered by the Nevada Department of Records, 2024. No body of Ryan Keller was found. However, the final transmission, dvfinal.move, continues to replicate across online archives and streaming mirrors. As of this entry, the file has appeared spontaneously on at least 12 unrelated servers. Attempts to delete it have failed. Each playback begins at 3:12 a.m. regardless of system time. The last line of the recording changes with every view. Tonight it reads, "If you're watching this, subscribe. We'll keep uncovering what others won't."